Heyo. Hey everyone, or whoever, or whoever's not there. I almost made it on time. I'm only a couple seconds late. Let's give a couple seconds for people to roll in or whatever. Leave a comment if you're here. I don't want to start too prematurely. So what we're doing today, I think you've already figured it out, but I was supposed to do this last Sunday, but I got sick kind of last minute. I've accumulated a massive amount of movies over the last couple months. And as you might know, normally I would just make I would just make a bunch of regular videos out of those, but I just bought way too much stuff. And I figured the only way to show this in a timely manner would just do it live and just do it all at once because what's up, Scott? Scott and I were just talking prior to this. But yeah, I figured showing it all at once would be the only way to just. I've had these stacks sitting in my room for like the last 4 months, and I just keep adding to it. And I've just been in a movie mood lately. Um, I mean, movies and music, but I don't know. I've been into movies more lately than almost more than I ever have, or at least as much as I was like when I was a teenager. I was huge into movies, or even growing up as a kid, and I've kind of like returned to that. I've almost been enjoying watching movies again, even more than listening to music lately. But it's still kind of a 50-50 thing. But I have at least 50 or 60 movies here, a lot of which I haven't watched yet. Um, so I won't have a whole lot to say about all of them. I'm not going to drone on about every single one. Hey, what's up, Kevin? Good to see you, dude. I didn't even have to remind you. Glad you're here, man. Um, got the Full Metal Ginger in the house, one of my best buddies in the world, and I guess I could get started. So I didn't really divide this into categories too much. I mean, I did a little bit. I got a stack of Blu-rays. I kind of divided up my foreign films, and then I think I just have random stacks. So yeah, I'll talk about the ones that I've actually seen if I've seen them, and let me know the ones that you've seen, and we could talk about them, even if only you've seen them and I haven't. I think we'll start off with the foreign films. One of those things, I watch a lot of foreign movies. It's one of those things where I find it funny. I still see like movie YouTubers to this day where they're like, oh, I just don't watch foreign movies. I don't like reading subtitles. So if you're one of those people, that's one of those things that you got to get over because some of the best, first of all, the US is not the only country that makes movies. Okay. Um, hey, Andre, what's up? I'm glad you're here. Got a Andre from Moscow. It's really late where he is. So next time I do one of these, I'll have to do it just a little bit early so he doesn't have to stay up so late. But, anyways, like I was saying, yes, so the US is not the only country that makes movies. If you only watch English speaking movies, you're doing yourself a huge disservice and you're missing out on some of the best movies ever. So, but I get it. I mean, I think up until my early 20s, I was kind of that way too. Where like, I'm not reading subtitles. Stupid. But yeah, so we'll start off with I had heard of this one. It's a Japanese movie. I'd heard of it. I heard it was cool. It looks really fucking cool. So we got Machine Girl. It's one of those Tokyo Shock original movies. They make a lot of cool stuff. I mean, just look at the back. There's ninjas. You got a one-armed girl with a gun arm. One-armed ballistic assault hero. And without even having ever seen this, you know it's going to be gory as all hell. I mean, even the back of the case, out of the 5 pictures that it has, it's pretty bloody. You got a dude with a bunch of nails in his face, and Louis, go away. Anyone seen Machine Girl? What about you, Scott? I don't know. I like a lot of Japanese movies, but I would still consider myself kind of a not like super. I'm definitely no expert. I still, I've seen a lot of the Takashi Miike stuff. Well, sort of a lot of his stuff, but yeah, I would still consider myself kind of a noob. Um, I mean, I'm kind of a noob with horror movies in general, at least compared to the other stuff that I've been in. Like, I only really, like, really started to get deep into horror movies in, God, really like 10 years ago. Yeah, Andre, you're right. It is it Machine Gun Girl? No, it just says Machine Girl. There might be, I can't remember if this is a series of movies. Yeah, there might be one called Machine Gun Girl. I'm not sure. I had thought this was a series, but I could be wrong. A lot of these Japanese movies are series, or sequels and stuff. Next, speaking of Takashi Miike, we have One Missed Call. I still haven't seen this. Funny story. I actually purchased this because I had thought that it was the movie Pulse, which is not even a Takashi Miike movie. It's just another Japanese movie, a different director. But either way, I have another Miike movie in my collection. So that's cool. I've heard some people say they like it a lot, and some people say that they hate it. And some people say it's just kind of okay. But yeah. Oh my God, Louis. He's going to be just coming and leaving this whole time. I'll try to keep up with the comments as much as I can. Yeah, Kevin, you're doing good. You gotta just I'll just keep sending you stuff. You gotta keep getting out there and branching out too. Like it's fun to watch, your favorites over and over again, but you gotta branch out and watch new stuff. Yeah, Scott. Yeah, I know. I know we've talked about that before. I think with different art forms, whether it be music, movies, comic books, reading books, stuff like that. I think us collectors, we tend to go in phases, like chunks of time. Like it's hard when you collect three or four different things passionately. It's hard to divide your time and your focus evenly. Rick, Dreadful Minutes, Rick and I have talked about this, where we kind of like we'll be into comic books for 6 months, a little bit heavier, then we'll kind of drop out of it. We'll get into movies again for 6 months and we'll drop out of it. I think that's kind of how it goes for a lot of us. I try to split it evenly, but I think even without realizing it, we go in phases. Collection's growing, Kevin. Yeah, good, man. Yeah, you're one of the people that whenever I'm out and about, when I see movies, if I can pick them up, good movies for $1 or whatever, I usually keep you in mind. So probably amassing another stack of stuff just to send out to people. All right, sticking with the foreign films. So this one I have seen. This is a Russian film. Andre, maybe you know about this one, Sputnik. This is an IFC Midnight film. This is really good. I heard it was good, and it didn't disappoint. It is about this Russian astronaut comes back from space with basically like an alien inside of him. And it was unique in the fact that, yeah, we've already seen obviously movies with aliens inside of people. We've seen what happens in that scenario, but this one is different, to where the alien will basically, there's more to it. They do get kind of sciencey, but the alien can come out of his body at night. But it's basically, it's kind of a parasite. It has to return. It can't live on its own, so it can only come out for a certain amount of time. And there's some other details, but really good Sputnik. Obviously, it gets the comparisons to Alien, but I mean, a lot of movies were influenced by Alien, but this one takes it in a pretty, as far as I know, unique direction. I've never seen anything quite like it. The visual effects really good, acting really good. It's nice and tense, really cool movie. Check out. If you haven't seen Sputnik, it did get some buzz when it came out, so check that one out if you haven't, because I really liked it a lot. Andre, movies help you escape reality. I feel you there. I think that's to be honest, not to get too deep on you guys, but I think that's why I've always been into like fantastical things, just because life is so weird for me that I like to, we need that escape. I think it's good for us, right? I'm no psychiatrist, but Scott, you never heard of Sputnik? Yeah, it's cool. If you can find it streaming somewhere, it's definitely worth a watch at the very least. Next, a movie all you guys have heard about, because this movie got nothing but hype, and I kind of avoided it. At the time, but I knew that I was going to watch it eventually. It's a Korean film, I believe. We got Parasite. I'll be honest, I don't even know much about this. I think it won awards and stuff. Again, tons of hype. But from what I've heard from like super film buffs that I know personally, with good taste and all that, I've heard literally nothing but great things about it. So again, Scott, I have talked about this. Some things get hype, some things live up to the hype, and from what I'm told, Parasite lives up to the hype. So came out in 2019. I'll try to list the dates. I've failed to do that so far, but then we got a couple Godzilla movies. I'm kind of a new, not super new, but a newer Godzilla fan. Always liked the character as a kid and stuff, but I kind of avoided the movies. Because up until like even my 30s, I avoided a lot of old movies because I don't know, I just did. So I avoided like the Universal stuff, the Godzilla monster universe stuff. I avoided all that, but we've got Godzilla Final Wars. Didn't have this one in my collection. 50th anniversary. And I couldn't even tell you where this sits in the Godzilla filmography, but I'm basically picking up all the old Godzilla movies that I haven't seen or don't have. Andre Parasite is a masterpiece. I'm not surprised to hear you say that. I got to get on. I got to finally watch it. Maybe I'll throw it on tonight. Kevin, you've been diving into classics lately. Yeah, I've kind of been doing that. Yeah, like diving into these classics that I just passed on, and then years and years and years, and then you're like, why have I not seen this? This is getting ridiculous. And whether the certain classics live up to the hype or live up to your what you think they're going to be, it's still fun. Even if you don't really like them, it's still fun to like you're experiencing history. You don't have to. To me, it's film is art. I don't have to like it to appreciate it. I just like experiencing movies in general. Interfacer, what's up, Mike? Was hoping you'd be here, and you are. Scott said that's a fun Godzilla. Okay, cool. I know I've seen a few that obviously the quality in the Godzilla movies fluctuates from movie to movie, in my opinion. Some of them are awesome. Some of them aren't great, right? I mean, from what I've seen. I also got Godzilla 2000. Always wanted to see this one, and for what reason, I don't know, but I haven't. I just love these covers too. The art on these is always so fun. Yeah, I just something about Godzilla, the character himself. I just love him. I still haven't seen Godzilla versus Kong because I love Kong too. Got to get on that. This is, what year is this one from? Is it literally from 2000? Is that a dumb question to ask? Probably. It's probably why it's called Godzilla 2000. Anyways, moving on. A Norwegian movie that I have seen, Norwegian if I remember correctly. Pretty sure I'm right, and I'm sure most of you guys have heard of this because another movie that got kind of a lot of hype when it came out, Troll Hunter. Remember thinking it was pretty cool back when it came out back in 2010. From what I remember, it's about this group of what are they, investigators? No, they're college students who had always heard rumors. In Scandinavia, there's a lot of lore with trolls that's like in their folklore and stuff. But this movie takes it a little bit more literal, and you get these college students who kind of like put together this like paranormal unit, and they go to find out if trolls are real or not. And I don't know if I should spoil it. It turns out basically that the Norwegian government knows about them, but they just kind of try to keep it out of the mainstream. How that would ever happen? Norway is not even that big of a country, but it's a pretty cool movie, Troll Hunter. And you guys seen it? It's excited to watch it again. Scott, Godzilla vs. Kong. Godzilla vs. Kong is cool for 20 minutes. Unfortunately, 2 hours. And movies nowadays are just, they're too long. You remember back in the day, like even in the 90s, where like for a movie to go beyond the 90-minute mark, it had to be some epic, like Goodfellas or Godfather or whatever. A movie like Forrest Gump or something huge and grand scale. Nowadays, I think it seems like the average movie is 2 hours, 2.5 hours in some cases. And I've heard there are reasons. I've heard some speculation that a lot of filmmakers do that because I believe you get paid more on streaming for like minutes watched. So if you crank out a 2-hour movie instead of an hour and a half, you're going to get paid more for per stream. I don't know if that's true or not, but it would kind of make sense because it's just gotten out of hand, in my opinion. Then we have an old Italian film. I've watched this recently. I think it's Italian. Yeah, pretty sure it's Italian. Revenge of the Living Dead Girls. This is one of those movies that is gone by many different names. I think Dr. Butcher MD is the one that it's maybe most commonly known as. So it's an Italian zombie film, super low budget. It is. I liked it. It's not one of the absolute greats. Like this does not stand up to like Zombie, the Fulci stuff, but it was still pretty good. There's some fairly shocking scenes in it, to be honest. Definitely worth a watch. It's a classic, for a lot of people. Came out on a label called Retro Media. I don't know if Retro Media is one of those like little dinky labels that scoops up stuff that after the copyright expires. I'm not really sure. It kind of looks official. Special uncut edition. It's most likely official, but I don't know. I don't know shit. Kevin, what do you got? Next stream you and I are discussing. Yeah, man. I'm down for that anytime. All right, going back to Japan. Don't know if anyone's heard of this series. This is the only one of the series that I've seen. We got Tomea Rebirth. Now, the Tomea character, this movie series comes from a manga series, which I've looked it up. It actually looks really badass. I've never read manga in my life, but I do like, obviously, comic books. So I actually really want to get the Tomea manga. It looks gnarly. So this is basically about this girl named Tomea. She's basically like, as far as I can tell, like a demon of some sort. She's a immortal demon, and she's kind of like a succubus. Like she meets random dudes and she gets them to like fall for her, and she just torments them, mostly mentally. She has these powers, like she'll literally drive them insane, and she just toys with people. Like she will drive them to the point where they murder her. Like she's been murdered a bunch of times. They'll murder her, but she'll come back and torment them even more because they thought that she was gone forever. And then, I don't know. I thought this was pretty cool. I thought it was worth watching. Kind of eerie, kind of unsettling. I really want to watch the others. Let's see here. The director. Oh, there's no way I'm gonna. Takashi Shimizu. He directed Ju-On, which is the original. It's the original of the American movie The Grudge. It was taken from Ju-On. You've heard of Ju-On, but yeah, he's a good director. Tomea the Rebirth. I thought it was pretty fun. Never really heard anyone talk about it. This next one, I've done a review of this. I was pretty proud of that review. I think it was one of my better, I've been doing a lot of film reviews lately. I haven't uploaded very many. I'm kind of going to upload like one every week. So I've already talked about this. I've already reviewed it. Finnish film Sisu. If you haven't seen my review, I'll just cut to the chase. This movie is awesome. Awesome. Let's backstep a little. Scott, are they standalone? The Tomea movies, yeah, they as far as I could tell, not having seen any of the others, I didn't feel like I needed to. I didn't feel lost or anything. So I think they are kind of standalone. I think you can dive in at any point. At least on that one you could. So yeah, has anyone seen Sisu? It's a newer film. Awesome. If you haven't seen my review, it's basically About this guy on the cover here. He is an ex-Finnish military, ex-Finnish commando, and he was like one of the most feared. Uh, you know, especially this takes place in World War II. So Finland had been attacked by Russia, and I guess this guy was like the Russian soldiers just absolutely feared him, and he becomes disillusioned. He leaves the war entirely. He becomes a gold prospector, and it's basically he strikes gold, finds a bunch of gold, he attempts to carry it into town so he can sell it, and rebuild his life basically because after World War II, Finland was fucked up. So yeah, he was going to go cash it in, and on the way back to town, he gets stopped by a group of Nazis who, of course, yeah, chaos ensues. But awesome, amazing movie. Gets a lot of comparisons to John Wick, and I would agree with that to an extent. I've seen the first John Wick. I think this is much better. Yeah, I totally get Quentin Tarantino vibes from it, especially in some of the dialogue and some of the filming, so the cinematography. It's really really cool movie. I can't recommend it enough. I gave it an 8 out of 10, but honestly, I think it's better than that. I think it's an easy 9. Andre only saw Dead Snow, one and only Finnish movie. I forgot Dead Snow was a Finnish movie. To be honest, I don't know if I even knew that. Dead Snow is good. Another movie that got a lot of hype when it came out, and I think it lives up to it. It's a really fun zombie movie. Next, we have a movie that I've seen before, obviously, and I actually do own this in my collection, but I liked this copy better. Lucio Fulci's Zombie, classic, one of the most classic zombie movies of all time. If you haven't seen this, I'm not going to say you're not a zombie fan, but this is one of the godfathers of the zombie genre. So got this Anchor Bay version. Case has seen better days, but it's again, I like this copy. I think the one that I have, it might be one of those like public domain movies. I don't know if Zombie is public domain. Anyway, it's a shit copy. That's all for the foreign stuff, as far as I know. Now we're moving on to, I think we'll do the Blu-rays next. I don't always, as you guys know, I don't always buy Blu-rays, but when the price is right, I'll buy them. When it comes to technology, I'm so simple. I just want the fucking movie. It doesn't have to be in 4K. It doesn't have to be. I grew up watching VHS, so I don't care. I just want to see the movie. It doesn't have to be at its peak. One of the best zombie films? Yeah, absolutely, man. It's one of those films, Zombie. I mean, it holds its own with the George Romero stuff, which obviously Fulci was very much inspired by, but everyone was inspired by. Every zombie movie is heavily inspired by Romero. There's no debating that. So Blu-rays. I guess you could say this is the first 4K movie I've ever bought. I don't have a 4K player, but it's got all the versions that you need. It's got the 4K, Blu-ray, DVD, and a digital code. John Carpenter, Escape from LA. I'm a huge John Carpenter fan, or otherwise I wouldn't have probably bought this. But I do kind of have a soft spot for it. Saw this in the theater, and I was a little kid, so I liked it. I think it's not a great movie. First of all, it's not a great movie, but man, you get more Snake Plissken, you get more Kurt Russell. It's worth watching. If anyone wants this download code, let me know and I can message it to you. I'm never going to use it, so if you want the digital code to Escape from LA, it's yours. Scott, that movie made you angry. It probably would for me too, but like I said, I was like 11 or something when I saw it. When did this come out? 96, so I was 14, but I mean, I was 14, so I loved it. It doesn't hold up well, I'll admit, and it should make you angry. No baloney Anzalone, what's up, man? Good to have you here. All right, next Blu-ray. Bought this just from the cover art alone. Never heard of this at all, but I do love a good anthology movie. So we got Volumes of Blood, horror stories. That's all I know. That's all I know is it's an anthology. It looks incredibly cheap on the back. When you see some still shots, it looks very, very cheap, but it might be good. Anyone heard of it? Doubt it. Here's a movie that you have heard of. Bram Stoker's Dracula. I had a VHS copy of this, but I always wanted a DVD. So finally I have it. Obviously, this is a Francis Ford Coppola classic, in my opinion. I saw this movie, I think when it came out also when I was a little kid. 92, so I was 10. Weird movie for a 10-year-old to watch, but, back in the 80s and 90s, we just did shit like that. I love it. I love this movie. Obviously, you have some actors that are totally miscast. I could do without Winona Ryder. I could do without Keanu Reeves, but even with their kind of weak performances, this movie it's still really a very amazing movie, I think. Pipe Face, what's up, Simon? Does he surf out of LA or New York? Oh, he surfs out of LA, man. In one of the worst scenes ever in a movie, probably. It's just fucking ridiculous. All right. Next, we've got The Dentist Collection. Got the two Dentist movies, both directed by Brian Yuzna, one of my favorite directors of all time. Bought this nice Blu-ray copy, sent Scott my original copy, and he liked it. I've never seen the second movie. I don't know how a second would work because he dies in the first one. So maybe it's one of those movies where it's like it's a completely different story. I don't know. I'll have to check it out. But yeah, Brian Yuzna. Corbin Burnson is great, by the way. Corbin Burnson plays the dentist, and he's fantastic. Simon, you like those? What do you think about the second one? I've never heard anyone talk about that. Brian Yuzna is a genius. Hell yeah, he is. Absolutely. I love Brian Yuzna. One of my favorites, like I said. Then we've got the Dunwich Horror, this new Arrow Video version with this new cover. Very cool, right? I'm a huge, as you might know by this point, I'm a huge H.P. Lovecraft fan. So, of course, I'm going to get this. You might recognize the original cover, which would be that. So this came out in the 70s, right? When did this come out? You would think, come on, Arrow. 69. Holy shit. Okay, I was guessing mid 70s. I have seen this only once before. So this is taken from one of H.P. Lovecraft's short stories. It's a pretty cool movie. It's nowhere near as good as the story is just fucking chilling and epic. And the movie doesn't live up to the story. I don't know, but it's still pretty cool. It's a cool movie. I love it. Just not as much as the story. I got Child's Play 2. And Scott says Dentist Part 2 is worth watching. Well, I might as well watch it since I have it. Child's Play 2, I'm a huge Child's Play fan, so I've been kind of upgrading my Child's Play collection to Blu-ray. Not much to say about this. It's a great movie. I think I probably like this Part 2 as much as the original. Child's Play 3. Have not seen this in a long time. In fact, I don't remember it at all. So glad to rewatch it. 1991 this came out. When did 2 come out? 90. Man, yeah, back in the day when they were just cranking out movie year after year. It's usually not a good sign for quality, but that's how horror was back then. You guys might laugh at this. You might be thinking like, "What? You didn't need that." And of course I didn't, but I didn't have it on Blu-ray, so I guess I kind of needed it. Gremlins, one of my all-time favorite movies. Absolutely love it. It's one of those movies where I'm just so dumb that I'll buy every different version that I come across, even if it's just got a different cover. I buy it because I don't know, because I love it. I know a lot of people do that with metal albums. We all kind of do that. I do that with with Gremlins. What's up, Simon? Struggling to remember the second, but I thought it was more or less the same. Thought it carries on from the first. I don't know. Maybe they make it to where Corbin Burnson really isn't dead. He didn't actually die. Horror movies, there are no rules, I guess, right? Here's another movie that never ever heard of, but bought it from the just based off the cover. The Barn Part 2. Never heard of it. Never heard of The Barn. But that's a very cool cover, right? We're all suckers for stuff like that. This came out in, I guess, this came out in 2022, so it's still a fairly new movie. I'm a sucker for reversible covers. I think all Blu-rays should have a reversible cover, if possible. It's just give us that little extra. We're paying you good money. All right, talking about the dentist again. He moves to a new town and starts over, so I guess he didn't die. Simon, have you seen Dr. Giggles? No, but that does sound familiar. I want to say somebody's asked me about that recently. I haven't seen it. I'll look into it. Scott, it looks cool, but I think I hated the first Barn. I don't doubt it. They do that a lot with movies nowadays. They'll, especially like these old re-releases, they'll give you this really cool cover, an amazing cover, to where you can't resist it, but the movie is just utterly awful. Yeah, they do that with a lot of these re-releases. So next, Peter Jackson's classic, The Frighteners. Haven't seen this since I was a little kid. This came out in 90s. 90, I don't know. 90s for sure, mid to late 90s. Well, this was before Peter Jackson did the Lord of the Rings movies. It's just a really fun movie. You got Jeffrey Combs in it, who I just love. Gary Busey's son, Jake Busey. And growing up, man, I was a big Michael J. Fox fan. I worshiped this guy as a kid. So really excited to rewatch that because I haven't seen it in decades, I guess. Andre loves Dr. Giggles. Cool. I'll look into it for sure. I remember shit so good. So I remember shit, so it's good to have my tag team partner with me. Yeah, God, my memory is hit and miss. It's some days it's really good, and some days it's utterly terrible. And another recent movie, I think came out last year. Pretty sure last year. We've got the Northman. Don't know if anyone's seen that. Had a lot of hype, of course. From what I've heard, it absolutely lives up to it. I love Robert Eggers as a director. I am on board with anything he does at this point. Every time I hear about him directing a movie, I'm just instantly excited. This is a Viking revenge tale. Got a hell of a cast. Alexander Skarsgård, Nicole Kidman, Anya Taylor-Joy, who doesn't love her, Ethan Hawke, Willem Dafoe, and apparently Bjork, the singer. Very cool. I've heard this is just a psychedelic fever dream of a Viking movie. So I did watch the first 20 minutes of it and I didn't finish. So I got to get back to it. It is a crazy movie. Next, another recent movie last year, I think. Violent Night. Heard it's pretty damn good. I love David Harbour. Although I heard he's kind of wasted in this movie because he doesn't have very many lines. Basically, he plays a Santa Claus cyborg, right? I don't know the storyline too much, but cyborg Santa going around fucking shit up. David Harbour, sure, I'm down. Then we got, Mad Max Fury Road. Not real big on that cover. Really? That's the best cover you could do? It's just kind of stupid. But the movie is not stupid. This movie is amazing. I have seen people say, actually, Scott, you might know this, Jay Bauman from Red Letter Media proudly says that this is the best Mad Max movie. And, kind of hard to argue with that. I mean, I love Road Warrior and the first Mad Max. I even love Beyond Thunderdome. I'm a huge Mad Max fan. And I don't know. I don't know. I guess you could say it is the best on a technical level. I don't know if I could say that I like it more than because I love the Road Warrior, man. I don't know if I could say it's better than that, but it's high praise coming from Jay. Andre, Silent Night, Deadly Night, using this Santa Manic movie. Yeah, I've heard it's just super bonkers, super just over the top as hell. I need to watch it, Scott. Yeah, I hear you there, man. It's a lot of stuff where I'm like, why haven't I seen this yet? All right, next we got some classic Pixar, Toy Story. I love Pixar movies, and this came out when I was still pretty young, and it's just, I love it. This is just a classic, epic animated movie. It's a total epic. I love it. I think it's the best Pixar movie in my opinion. And since I am a dad, my son, when he was growing up, when he was a little kid, he loved the Minions movies. So I picked this up just for nostalgia. I think I paid $1 for it. I have a lot of nostalgia. Well, obviously it didn't come out when I was a kid, but I've got good memories, I could say, watching this, with my son when he was really little. And, I think they're pretty funny movies. I think they're decent. Can't beat Mad Max first two. Yeah, Simon, I agree, man. Like I said, it's a pretty tall claim saying that the Fury Road's the best, but again, on a technical level, of course it is, But what's cool about it is George Miller, if I remember correctly, he hadn't directed anything for a long, long time. And he's an old man. He's like in his 70s when he directed that. So like this long comeback, and he just puts out this bonkers movie. It's pretty impressive. You can't take that away from him. And all right, that's it for the Blu-rays. Now this one, Andre, if you're still there, you put this on my radar. I'd actually never heard of it. I'm a big David Cronenberg fan, but I hadn't heard of this movie, Existence. So Cronenberg, later on, in the early 2000s and even in the 90s, started, kind of branched out from his typical, body horror, and he did some like action movies, and they're really good. Let's see. What's the one I'm thinking of? Eastern Promises. That's like one of my favorite movies of all time. Odd Cronenberg movie, because when we think Cronenberg, we think The Fly, Scanners, stuff like that. So it's cool that he branches out and is successful at doing it. So yeah, we got Jude Law, Willem Dafoe. Anyone seen Existence? I'm excited for it. Oh, here's a bonkers movie. I've become a big fan of Lucky McKee, the director, and so he directed this, The Woman. Picked this up for $1. I hate when people write on their movies, but it's on the outside, so I can get a magic eraser and scrub that off. So I already own this movie. It's so good that I picked it up for $1 so I could send it to a friend. Scott, maybe it's coming your way, maybe not. Who's in this movie? So Angela Bettis is in this. I can't remember who she plays because she's not the main character. Anyways, Lucky McKee likes to use Angela Bettis in his movies, as anyone should. She's very underrated, but this movie is so fucking disturbing. This is a disturbing fucking movie, but it's good. It's basically about this family, this father and son. They're out hunting in the woods, and they find this like feral woman, completely feral, like doesn't speak any English. She's like a caveman basically, and they kidnap her and bring her home, and he like keeps her in his barn. It's disturbing and very fucked up, but it's good. It's just such a visceral fucking movie. Kevin, 50s sci-fi horror. I'm a super noob to that stuff. I like the original Fly. I like the original Thing movie, although I don't think any of those are as good as the remakes, the 80s versions. I'm slowly getting into 50s sci-fi and horror. Yeah, I do like it. It's fun. Scott, okay. You have The Woman. Isn't it fucked up? It's one of the few movies that I watched where I was just like, oh, I felt you just feel scummy and dirty and depressed by the time it's over. Simon, what's up? Watching Van Damme fighting a tiger at the moment. What movie is that? I know Nicolas Cage fights a tiger. I guess that's the new thing, fighting tiger movies. All right, now to complete my John Carpenter collection, because I had to do it. I'm only a completist with some directors. So I bought his John Carpenter's Vampires. Now, I actually do like this movie. James Woods, dude, just if you need to make an example of an actor chewing the scenery, just every time go with James Woods from this movie. He is this movie. It's a good one. I like it. It's about this group of, it's just a simple vampire tale about a group of dudes that are vampire hunters. They're after this big boss vampire, and the villain's not really very good. I think that's where this movie kind of fails. You could have had a better villain, but you got James Woods, and James Woods is the glue that holds this movie together. I love it personally. I don't think it's amazing. Simon, Double Team. Oh, I forgot about Double Team. I guess I never saw it. I remember it coming out. Bourbon and Eli, my two favorite things. Ah, thank you. Don't hear that every day. Beating Mickey Rourke now. All right. Keeping with the John Carpenter theme. Here's one that I've never actually seen. Village of the Damned. Never seen it. Never really heard too much about it. Came out in 95. I'm sure it's not amazing, but, you know, it's John Carpenter, and I need it in my collection. You got Christopher Reeve in this movie. So 95, that must be pre-Accident. I think his Accident was in the late 90s. And you got Kirstie Alley, which I love her, of course. Love Cheers. So yeah. What do we got? Naked Cheryl Lee, 5 stars. Okay. Wait, which movie is Cheryl Lee in? Was that Vampires? Yeah, that was Vampires. Yeah, I got you, Scott. All right. And this movie I haven't seen in a long time, but I have seen it. Christine. It's been so long that I don't even hardly remember too much. 1983. So I was back when Carpenter was still in his prime. Anyone like Christine? I don't know. What do you guys think? Where would you put this in the Carpenter filmography? I'll rewatch it soon. 95, thought it was older. Yeah, man, I do that a lot too. I'll think a movie came out in the 80s, and I'm like, oh, 1998. All right, Kevin. Can't remember if I collect VHS. Yeah, I do. I'm not a serious VHS collector because some people are like super into it, but I do collect them. Yeah. Scott loves Christine. Cool. Good to know, man. Yeah, I got to rewatch it. I haven't seen it since I was a wee lad. And you guys are going to roll your eyes at this one. Ghosts of Mars. Haven't seen this since I was, well, teenager when it came out back in 2001. But it's got Natasha Henstridge, so, you know, it's worth watching. You got Jason Statham back when he sort of had hair. And Ice Cube. Ice Cube is, I don't know, not a great actor, but whatever. Pam Grier is in this. Like, this should have been a good movie. It's not. It's not a good movie. The tiger's about to eat Mickey. Dude, I need to watch Double Team. This just sounds insane. I worshipped Van Damme when I was a kid, so why I haven't seen it is kind of, I don't know. All right, wraps up the Carpenter stuff. Now we just have random. I got about 20 movies left, I think. So this isn't going to be super long. Okay. We got The Hole. This is a porn movie. No, I'm just kidding. I bought this because it was directed by Joe Dante, and I love I love Gremlins. So this came out in 2009. Don't know anything about it, but picked it up cheap. Saw Joe Dante's name on it. Anyone seen The Hole? Okay, now this next one, I never had any interest in seeing whatsoever. I totally skipped it. But recently, I've been seeing people talking about it, talking about how it's actually pretty good, especially for its time. Directed by James Wan, who's gone on to do huge things. But picked up Dead Silence. I've heard the unrated version is the way. Actually, I've heard the unrated version is worse because they put in some like CGI scenes that are really bad. It's James Wan. You know, he did the first couple Saw movies, which I don't like at all. He did freaking. Didn't he directed Aquaman? I think that movie was just massive, made a ton of money. He directed at least the first Insidious movie, which I really like. I just reviewed it recently, but I don't know. I'm sure it's one of those movies where I'll regret it once I do watch it, but I think I paid $2 for it, so maybe I'll like it. I'm not always like super picky with movies. And been meaning to pick up more Ray Dennis Steckler movies. Ray Dennis Steckler was this director in the 70s, maybe even 60s. He was just one of those low budget directors. He was almost like a who'd you compare him to? I don't know. He just did super low budget movies. He always gave, considering the budget, he always gave it all he could. So you got to respect him for that. Some Blood Shack, and no, that is not Alice Cooper. Now, I'd seen this movie in stores for a long time, and I always thought that was Alice Cooper. It's not. He's like some dude. He's like some rockabilly guy from back in the day. I guess he's famous for that kind of music. I'm not. I don't listen to any rockabilly stuff. But yeah, had to get more Ray Dennis Steckler stuff. Blood Shack. When did this come out? It's got to be early 70s, but yeah, I don't know. It doesn't say on here. Kevin, when am I coming down? Dude, I really hope I make it there eventually. Sooner rather than later. But as of right now, I can't plan anything. And since I don't have all the Puppet Master movies, I'm still working on it. Obviously, only about half of them are good. Picked up Puppet Master 4. This movie actually used to be hard to come by. I don't think it is anymore, but whatever. This is probably the last Puppet Master movie that I liked quite a bit. I don't like it as much as the first 3, but I like it more than I think everything that came after it. That said, it's not amazing. It is kind of fun though. You guys like Puppet Master? I'm still working on my full moon reviews. I haven't done one of those videos in a while. Oh. All right, and another movie that I didn't need to buy, but I think I bought it for $1 because it had this cool shiny cover. 2-film collection Gremlins. Of course, I'm going to pay $1 for that. I mean, it's awesome looking. I don't need it at all. Okay. Oh my gosh. How did this happen? So apparently, I just showed the woman. Apparently, I have now 3 copies because I guess I bought it again. I think I paid $1 for both of them. And it's one of those movies where I've seen it online go for like 15, 20 bucks. So, but I don't resell stuff usually. I just bought it because it's a good movie and I wanted to pass it on to somebody. All right, what's Simon doing now? Watching The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues now. I've never heard of that. You're gonna regret it. You might. Kevin, yeah, dude, we'll totally do a stream of favorite movies. That's a good idea. All right, getting into some Troma stuff. Sure, we got some Troma fans out there. I love Toxie. I love the Toxic Avenger, but I haven't seen this one, Citizen Toxie, Toxic Avenger Part 4. I actually didn't know there were 4 movies, so that's cool. I always grab the Troma stuff when I find it out in the wild every time. This is a pretty loaded set. It's got 2 discs, tons of extras. It's got a 95-minute documentary on there, which I got to check that out. But yeah, love Toxie. He is one of my favorite movie characters. Did you? I don't know if any of you guys remember back in the early 90s, they actually tried to market the Toxic Avenger to kids, and they made a children's toy line of Toxic Avenger characters. If you've ever seen the first Toxic Avenger movie, that will blow your mind on how they tried to market that shit to kids. They wouldn't even make movies like that nowadays for adults. Let's put it that way. That movies like the Toxic Avenger, I guess they could happen on a small scale, but they most likely won't ever happen again. But I don't know. You did have a couple years back, you had Psycho Goreman, and to me that was like a total throwback to Troma and Full Moon. So some people still are, a little bit edgy. 1955 black and white. Oh, okay. It's probably why I haven't heard of it, Simon. And Kevin says Poultrygeist. Poultrygeist is a crazy movie, actually. Scott says Toxie 4 is good. Cool. It's good to know. What? You got a DVD of the cartoon. I remember. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, there was a cartoon to go along with the toy line. I think I'd seen it when I was a kid, but at the time I didn't know what the hell is this. Like I wasn't aware of the movie. And next we got Tremors, Shrieker Island. I heard this movie is total garbage, so I already kind of regret buying it. But hey, maybe I'll like it. Big fan of the first few Tremors movies. Watched them as a kid just relentlessly. They're so fun. How you could take that formula and make a bad movie, I'm not sure, but whatever. It happened. Simon thought he was soft in some of the crap I've seen. What who are we talking about? Toxie? Probably not Toxie. Yeah, Tales from the Crypt cartoon. Yeah, that man, 80s and early 90s, they would do weird shit like that. Stuff like that they just would not do nowadays. It cannot be done. All right. So I'd never seen Starship Troopers, so I bought this. Yeah. Now I have the first 3. I've heard only the first one's good. I love Paul Verhoeven, so why I waited this long to see it, I don't know. I've heard the sequels are pretty garbage, but the first one is kind of like a modern classic. And yeah, Scott, Michael Gross is in still all the Tremors movies, and he said himself that he just loves the character of Bert, but he said himself that like the recent Tremors movies are not very good, and he's been frustrated about that from what I've seen. But yeah, he's still willing to play the Bert character, but yeah, he's not been impressed with some of the recent movies. Toxie, Simon. Toxie's not soft. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I haven't seen all the movies, but they're pretty extreme for the most part. Andre loves Starship Troopers. Yeah, everyone seems to. It's a cult classic. I don't know why I haven't seen it yet. I'll watch it soon. Picked this one up just last night because it just looks so bonkers that I had to. Voodoo Apocalypse. This is check the back out. Looks like it's got a little bit of everything. I'll read the description. So White Chocolate is a rookie police officer, White Chocolate, assigned to hunt down famous drug trafficker Jimmy Vanilla. Charlie Vargas is an officer whose partner was killed by Vanilla. Together, the two team up on a wild journey to apprehend the drug trafficker that takes them through the world of black magic, Mexican wrestling, kung fu, enchanted swords, and songs that turn listeners into zombies. I mean, if that doesn't sound awesome, I don't know. It probably isn't, but Starship Troopers 2 has tits. I could see that. I don't think Paul Verhoeven directed the sequels, but no, Phil Tippett directed the second one. That's actually pretty cool. Ed Neumeyer directed the third Starship Troopers. Scott, you got it. Voodoo Apocalypse at Dollar Tree. That's probably all it's worth. So I was talking about Lucky McKee earlier and Angela Bettis. So, May, this movie is fucking great. This wasn't on my radar until recently. Came out in mid 2000s. I hate when movies don't have the dates on them. Mid 2000s, I believe. This is kind of like a modern cult classic, in my opinion, and from what I've seen online, other people love this movie too. It's just basically about this girl named May, played by the amazing Angela Bettis. She's just probably autistic. They don't say that in the movie necessarily, but she's just very awkward. She doesn't connect with society at all. She tries. She has no friends, even though she tries to make them. And it's just about her journey. Let's just say she's a good person that eventually snaps. I'll leave it at that, but it's really good. Scott agrees. All right. Some Tobe Hooper modern stuff. So this probably isn't good, but I bought it for the Tobe Hooper name. Tobe Hooper directed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, of course. You didn't know that. Toolbox Murders. I think it's a slasher. I have heard of it, but I don't know anything about it. Oh, and Angela Bettis is in it. And so, okay, right there. Angela Bettis is in it. It's probably worth watching. Again, I just love her. She's amazing. Anyone seen Toolbox Murders? Didn't have all the Phantasm movies. Love Phantasm. Love Don Coscarelli. So about this 5-movie collection, I think I only had the first one and the fifth, so I didn't have any of the middles. This is not a nice set, by the way, but I got it really cheap. It's one of those sets where you open it up and all the DVDs are just stacked on top of each other. So not a good set, very lazy, but if you pick it up for $5 or whatever, it becomes not such a bad set. Had I bought it when it first came out, it was probably $20 or $30. I would have been probably disappointed. Toolbox is not so bad. I'll take that. Love the first Phantasm. Yeah, the first Phantasm is just a great movie. Sure, it doesn't really always make sense. It doesn't explain things very well, but it's like a dream. It's like a fever dream type movie, and it's awesome for that reason. Going back to Brian Yuzna, this movie is not Brian Yuzna. This was directed by Stuart Gordon, who is always I always associate with Brian Yuzna. King of the Ants. Never really heard of this, but Stuart Gordon is one of those directors like Brian Yuzna where I'm instantly going to buy anything his name is on. I'm going to buy it. So King of the Ants. Anyone seen that? And Simon's asking if any of the latter Phantasm films. I've only actually watched the first one, so I'm not sure. I've heard they're pretty hit and miss beyond the first one. I had seen this, but I just never owned it. So Candyman, I love it. I think it's an underrated classic from 1992. Yeah, great movie. If you haven't seen it, I honestly skipped this movie for a long time. It wasn't that long ago, really, that I finally picked it up and watched it. I feel like it's underrated. I think it deserved to have sequels. I think Tony Scott is a great villain and deserved to have kind of more of a legacy than just the one movie. Well, they did. No, they. Okay, I'll take that back. They did make some sequels, but they're just not very good. There's a second and a third, but they kind of veer, in my opinion, they veer from like the darkness of this movie. And I don't think it was directed. I don't think Bernard Rose directed those sequels because there's no way. They're watchable, but they aren't very good. Cool. Scott says King of the Ants is really good. I mean, Stuart Gordon, in my opinion, I just don't think he ever failed. Like, he's just great. And Scott says Phantasm 2 and 3 are good. Andre, yeah, Virginia Madsen and Candyman, she's amazing. She's great. No one could have done a better job. Candyman had all the school kids talking to the mirror. Yeah, remember that? Saying Candyman, and I remember doing that like in the bathroom at school with friends. Candyman super overrated? I don't know. Maybe someone's overrated it to you. I've never really seen anyone put it on like a pedestal necessarily. I think I've seen up to number 3. Yeah. Here's another classic that I did not own. I haven't seen it since I was a little kid. Misery, directed by Rob Reiner. It's a great movie. James Caan, and of course, what's her name? The amazing Kathy Bates. What a villain, right? What I love about this movie is you got Kathy Bates as a villain, and she's just such a different villain than you're used to seeing in movies, and that's what makes this so good. She's a villain on a whole new level. James Caan is great. This is just it's a classic. It was a Stephen King book, so this is probably the only. Misery is probably the only movie that was good taken from Stephen King's writing, or great, I should say, because it's great. Wasn't as good. I've only ever watched Candyman twice, but I just love what it brings to the table. It's just so unique. I guess you could kind of put it in the slasher genre. I just like how it's so unique. It's got it's completely unique storyline. I love Tony Todd, and I love Virginia Madsen. All right. In my pursuit to get all the Albert Pyun movies, I bought Invasion. This is not one of the Albert Pyun movies you ever hear about, so I doubt it's very good. It's like a UFO type movie, obviously, from 2005. So Albert Pyun might have been a little bit outside of his, not so much in his prime anymore. He was just a cool director. He died recently. He did very low budget movies, but often were really good. Maybe not always. Like he directed Doll Man. That's one of my favorites of his. Cyborg with Van Damme. We're talking about Van Damme earlier. He directed Cyborg. That movie's awesome. Dr. Sleep is oh man, I haven't seen Dr. Sleep. That's one that I skipped on, and I shouldn't have. I need to get on that. Misery is a film that makes you squirm. Totally. It just has that. It's just such a unique movie. Andre says Carrie was good. Dude, I love Carrie. All right. So this next one's very cool. This one kind of took me by surprise. Hidden. Now, this was directed by the Duffer Brothers, now famous for creating Stranger Things. Whether you like Stranger Things or not, I personally do. This is pre-Stranger Things, like I said, because this was 2005. Did I say 2005? I don't know if it was. I think it was later than 2015, not 2005. But yeah, this movie is really cool. I don't really know how to describe it much without spoiling it. But it is about this family who they live in an underground bunker because there's like some kind of fallout that happened up, on above ground, or not a fallout, but a virus. There's a virus that was rampant, just ravaging through the entire world. Yeah, I don't think I can really say too much more, but there's a family that, they're trying to resist the virus. So they live in an underground bunker. It's kind of a post-apocalyptic movie. It's very good. And I would have never bought this next one had I not heard that it's actually really good. Ouija, Origin of Evil. I heard the original Ouija is just absolute trash. And this was directed by Mike Flanagan, who's kind of like one of the up-and-coming, hotshot horror directors. He's done some really good stuff. This came out in 2017. Still haven't watched it, but I heard, despite there being a lot of bad sequels and even the original is bad, I've heard this one is actually really, really good. You just needed the right director, because Flanagan, yeah, he didn't direct the other ones, so no surprise that one's the best. All right, got about maybe 10 or 12 left. You might remember, Scott, I know you do, but some of you others might remember the Masters of Horror series from the mid 2000s, 2010s, whatever you call it. 2007 in this case. We got The Black Cat, taken from Edgar Allan Poe's story, you might know, directed by, again, the mighty Stuart Gordon, starring the amazing Jeffrey Combs. I don't know if Jeffrey Combs plays Edgar Allan Poe in this. I think he does. Again, don't know if it's any good, but I feel like since it's a Stuart Gordon movie, it's probably pretty good. Scott says, yeah, that Ouija's really good. Ouija. I think it's pronounced Ouija, not Ouija, like we said when we were kids. So this one was directed by John McNaughton, who directed Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, which is another really disturbing, fucked up movie. Got Hackler's Tale. I don't know anything about it. I bought it strictly for John McNaughton. We'll see. A lot of these Masters of Horror movies most of them were not very good. Pelts. Bought that one because it was directed by Dario Argento, the famous Italian director. The old Argento stuff's great, but this is from 2007, so he was, not in his prime anymore. This could be good. It could be really bad. And then I got this double feature, British vampire movies series, Count Yorga. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Count Yorga. I had never heard of this character before the last couple of months. Arrow Video actually put out a Count Yorga box set, and I was like, okay, there's a vampire series that I'm unaware of. Thought I'd check it out. So I have The Return of Count Yorga and Count Yorga Vampire. Here's the original movie posters. Don't know really anything about these. I've heard they're horror, but they're kind of comedy, and they're kind of other stuff. I don't know. Don't really know much about the character, but I love vampire movies. All right. Carrie, Child's Play double feature DVD is an interesting combo. Yeah, I'm a big fan of both of those. Scott, yeah, dude. Miike's Master of Horror. What was that episode called? Really fucked up though, right? With the geisha and stuff. It's comes from like the old days of Japan. Yeah, that was my favorite actually. Is it Imprint? I don't know. That was my favorite though, by far. Really fucked up. And in my pursuit of collecting all the full moon stuff, I picked this up dirt cheap, still sealed. Talisman. Again, full moon movie from 1998. Don't really know much about it, but it's been on my want list for a while. Oh, I was right. Scott, Imprint. Wow. I figured I was wrong. Now, this next one, here's another new movie. I'm a big fan of this series, but I'm eager to watch this again, but I was not blown away on the first watch. Scream 6. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't hate it or anything, but it didn't do a lot for me when I saw it originally. But I'm going to give it another watch, pay closer attention. I think it was fidgeting with shit while I watched it the first time. That's never a good way to watch a movie if you want to actually have an opinion of it. Oh, Showtime wouldn't air Imprint? Wow. Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's a crazy one. Simon, yeah, you remember them. Some were good. I don't know. Scott, what would you say the what would you say the success rate of Masters of Horror? Maybe 50%. I don't know. That's my opinion. Andre doesn't like the last Scream. I liked 5. I liked 5 quite a bit. So I should like 6, but we'll see. Got to rewatch it. Yeah, we got a couple classic modern Universal movies. Wolfman. Haven't seen this since the theater. Quite liked it at the time, so I want to see if it holds up. Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins. I remember the werewolf transformations being pretty cool. I'm sure they're probably CGI. I don't know. We'll see if it holds up. Yeah, we'll see if it holds up. I remember liking the storyline and stuff maybe more than the special effects, but we'll see. Just really want to. I love werewolves, so. Simon, put them on DVDR. Yeah. Oh shit. Lucky McKee. I didn't even know Lucky McKee did a Masters of Horror. God damn it. Now I need to get that one. Of course it was good. I'm not surprised. All right. Then we got another Paul Verhoeven movie, Hollow Man. Kevin Bacon and Elizabeth Shue. So yeah, this is just a retelling of the classic Invisible Man story. This one's a little bit more mean-spirited than the old black and white one. But I remember liking this a lot. I saw this in the theater as well back in 2000. Liked it a lot at the time. Again, Paul Verhoeven is great, so I'm sure this is probably going to hold up, at least in my opinion. Oh, we're getting to the last stack here. I knew this wouldn't be too long. All right, some of you guys are probably gonna roll your eyes at this one, and I wouldn't blame you. I bought this simply because I was intrigued. This is a recent movie, very polarizing. Skinamarink, Shudder original movie. This is one of those movies where people are either saying it's absolutely genius or it's absolute trash. There is almost no middle ground in this. I did put it on the other night for like 15 minutes, and I gotta say, man, I was bored. But the older I get, I grow to appreciate movies that are very much visual type movies. Visual to the point where you don't even almost need to know the storyline to enjoy it. I've gotten to the point where I appreciate stuff like that. So I was hoping that's what I would do here. But I think this movie is kind of an endurance test. You got to watch it from start to finish. Again, I watched like 15 minutes of it and I was just like, no, this is not doing anything for me. Andre says Hollow Man is about a sex maniac. Yeah, he is kind of like he is kind of predatory, predatorial, I guess you could say. He does kind of cross lines. Yeah, definitely. Kevin Bacon playing a maniac. Here's another movie picked up really cheap. Remember not caring for it at all when it came out, but since then it's become almost like this minor cult classic. Pandorum. Jesus. 2009. Yeah, stoked to rewatch it. It's like a sci-fi horror. Takes place in space. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Excited to rewatch it because I don't think I really gave it a fair shot the first time. Let's see. Scott, are you talking about Skinamarink? Because I not to be judgy, but I would have assumed that you weren't gonna like that movie, but not saying that you aren't open-minded or anything. Big Nicolas Cage fan, had to get Willy's Wonderland. Another one of those movies where it's people seem to either love it or they're like, this movie is absolute trash. Okay, cool, Scott. Wow. Good to know. Yeah, I'm impressed that you liked it. But yeah, this movie's known for it's kind of like a Five Nights at Freddy's ripoff. Nicolas Cage plays a guy who he has no lines in this movie. He does not talk. His car breaks down, and in return for car repairs, he has to clean up this old like Chuck E. Cheese type establishment with a bunch of animatronic robots. He has to clean it. I don't know if he's a janitor in this movie or not, but anyways, he has to clean it. The animatronics end up waking up, and he has to fight them and shit. Simon watched Event Horizon again last night. Oh, I love it, man. Another one of those kind of love it or hate it movies, but I love it. I'm on the love it side. Mike, you loved Willy's Wonderland. Yeah, I see myself probably being on the side that likes it. 'Cause I love Nicolas Cage. Have since I was a little kid. All right, we got 4 more movies. I never really plan on picking this up. I do kind of like the original, but I've heard this one's not very good. Chrome Skull 2, Laid to Rest, or Chrome Skull Laid to Rest 2, I guess, say it properly. So the first one is it's kind of cool because it's a total like throwback slasher movie. It's not supposed to be original or anything. I always thought the Chrome Skull guy looked kind of cool. It's a slasher. Again, it's just a dude that literally just lives to murder people, and there really isn't much else to it. I don't know. I've heard this one's not that great, but we'll see. I wouldn't say the first one is amazing, but it's got a pretty good fan following. This next one, I just heard so many good things about it. I had to pick it up. Still haven't watched it. The Neon Demon. I've just heard so many good things. Don't know a whole lot about it. I know Keanu Reeves plays a small character, directed by Nicholas Windinggren. I can't pronounce it. Anyways, yeah, heard it's amazing. Don't know a whole lot about it. Now that I go to talk about it, I can't even remember what it was that I used to know about it. Too much. My brain is just it's like a full hard drive on a computer. You can't keep putting shit in it because it's full. Bugs. Yeah. Yeah, guys, I totally have to get that Lucky McKee Masters of Horror. I cannot believe I didn't know about it. Ridiculous. All right. Oh god, here's one of those. This is probably a dollar store movie that I bought because like, oh, it has zombies on it. Outpost, Black Sun. The whole Nazi zombie thing is probably kind of done. I don't think any of those need to be made. I think everything's done in that genre. All those zombie movies have been played out for years at this point, anyways. But every now and then, I will still pick up yet a millionth zombie movie for my collection that doesn't need it. So never seen that, but I mean, it looks cool. Whatever. Yeah, and last but not least, picked this up just based on the reviews that I read for it. A lot of people seem to really like it. Freaks. This has nothing to do with the old movie Freaks from the 1950s or whatever. Nothing to do with that. This is about a little girl who I can't remember. I want something about there being like a fictional world outside of her house that she can leave and enter, like almost like a extra realm or something like that. I'm done. But anyways, that's it. That's all the movies I have to show. So I'm glad to now I can finally put them away. They don't have to sit in massive stacks just collecting dust, and still working on watching them. I've been trying to watch a movie like every day. And what I've been doing is I've been trying to watch all the movies I own that I have never seen, because it turns out I think I had probably over 100. So every day I'm trying to knock one out. I've been writing reviews for a lot of them. So that's something I've been enjoying. I've been enjoying making movie reviews like way more than I enjoy like showing music these days. But I think I just needed to switch it up. So I'm glad that you guys follow me to the more movie end of my channel, because I had to branch out. I had to do other things. You know what I mean? I couldn't just do the same old stuff. I've had my channel since I think like 2018, so I needed a change. Yeah, the Masters of Horror series, Andre, was pretty cool. But yeah, and it was cool that they did it, and at the time it was exciting. But a lot of those movies I felt let down by, as I think most of us did. But yeah, that's it. I think I'll just end it here. Thanks for showing up, guys. I always, when I do these, this is only the second live stream I've done by myself. I'm always worried that nobody will show up, because I know most of my subscriber base are not huge movie fans. So I'm always worried that, like, how embarrassing it would be if I started a live stream and no one showed up and I just talked to myself the whole time. I guess it happens. But anyways, guys, again, thanks for stopping by, and we'll talk soon. Cheers.